Well, hello there and welcome to my video. On this video, I decided to talk about how the way I use it, ChatGPT, for various type of Excel, particularly Excel VBA type of projects. And on this one, I thought it was interesting that when working with ChatGPT, if it doesn't get it right first time, if you keep working with it, you can potentially eventually get the right result. And this process is really interesting because you can kind of interact with ChatGPT as if you're talking with somebody and saying, hey, I asked you this, you said this is the resolution, this is the solution, yet there is an error, and here is the error. I think this is the problem here. Can you work on it? And can you fix it, or can you improve your solution? This is the kind of interaction that I believe one can do, that one can have with ChatGPT, and this is what I want to show you using the example that I use for this project. So first off, I want to get back to the data set that I have. So this data set that you're looking at, I'm going to go back to all the way to the beginning, the top of the data set. Okay. So I found this data set. Basically, I want to tell you where I found it. And this is the website that I use to find kind of, some interesting data sets. I use Kaggle. Kaggle is where you can find on any topic, in any area, on any topic, whether it's in economics data, financial data, social, sports, entertaining, industrial, whatever the topic that you're interested in, you can go there and find that kind of the data sets that are within your interest area. So I found this data set in Excel, and this is like, if you look at this all the way down, I want to go down to it. So this is the bottom row number on Excel, which is row number 1,048,576. This is how many rows each Excel worksheet has. So the nature of this data set is on, the data is on powerlifting, on various different powerlifting competitions. Speaking of that, actually, this is to me interesting because I'm into powerlifting, weightlifting, and bodybuilding, strength training, those kinds of activities. So I thought this was an interesting data set, and also providing me a lot of rich, obviously you can see over a million rows of data. I thought it was a good size. So that's why I'm using this. So I want to tell you basically what I've been trying to do, the way I use ChatGPT to help me in this process. So first off, I want to kind of briefly give you information about this, the nature of the data, so I think I can better explain what is it that I was trying to do. Otherwise, it won't make sense. So the name column is showing basically the competitors' names, and like I said, this is the powerlifting competitions of all the age groups. And age groups are it starts from very early, like 13, early age on, all the way to master's level up to 70, 75. There are lots of different age classes and also gender-based classes, female, male. And there's also various different types of events and equipment types, divisions, all those. So without getting much into detail on those, I want to show you, starting with this column H, as you see, it's a body weight and weight class, and going a little bit right. Powerlifting competitions are comprised of three different lifts. Those are squats, deadlifts, and bench press, those three. And they look at the total that athlete, the competitor, lifted during the competition. And here it says squat number 1, and those are all kilos, measured in kilos, not pounds. Squat number 2, squat number 3, and then here it says, column N, best squat. The number 3, it says best 3 squat, means it's looking at these 3 lifts and it's taking the best. That means the highest number. In this case, this athlete lifted 80 kilos first, and then 92.5 kilos and 105. So his or her record is for squat attempt is, or squat move is, squat lift is 105 pounds. Same thing with bench press, and same thing with deadlift. And after all these, the column Y shows the total, that the competitor's total weight, meaning combination of the squat, deadlift, and bench press. And the other information, I wasn't really taking those into the calculation or into my my work. Those are different kinds of point systems, which country, days, and those things. So speaking with that, now starting with that, what is it that I was trying to do? And let me go ahead and actually also open my Visual Basic editor, and I will also bring it to the screen when I get to it. So my goal was to build a results, I call this results tab. And on this tab, and I want to kind of bring this a little bit better into focus so you can see what I'm looking at. Here's the, there are basically two columns. One is the criteria column, the other one is the highest score. So criteria column basically is comprised of the body weight class, and the highest score is the total weight the competitor lift during the competition. So to be able to obtain this, I would obviously in Excel, there are many different ways of achieving what you're trying to achieve. For instance, one of the ways is you can basically copy and paste and compare and combine. You can juggle data in any fashion, any way, form or shape to be able to achieve these kinds of things. But instead of going through that route, I decided to use VBA to be able to produce this resultant data set, which is comprised of only two columns. And like I said, it shows, if you go all the way down, it goes down to 127, row number 127, and for each different weight class, it's showing the highest, excuse me, only the highest scores. That means the total weight of the combination of bench press, deadlift, and squats. How did I achieve that? So to be able to achieve that, I was using, well, obviously, I want to show you first off the VBA code that actually did that, which is the one that I'm right now showing. So this code is accomplishing what I was sharing, what I was showing you. And here's the way that I use ChatGPT. And I started with this question. I asked ChatGPT, can you write Excel VBA code to get the highest scores in columns J, K, and L, then columns O, P, Q, then T, U, V. The reason why I gave those three sets of columns, and each has three columns in them, is because I wasn't, instead of looking the totals only, I was looking for each column, going back to the data set, like JKL is squat 1, 2, 3, each of those attempts, and it's taking the best in column N. So that's how I started how I composed my question. And then it said, sure, here's an example. It starts, and then it created this code. And then by doing the copy code option here that ChatGPT is giving me, I went back to the VBA editor and put that code. First I created a module here, so I want to keep my separate codes or modifications and variations and changes, so I want to keep them on separate modules. I put that in module 1. In module 1, when I run this, I get error. It wasn't working. So basically, okay, it's running, but I mean it's not working, right? It's not producing, it's giving me error. So I went back to ChatGPT and I said this. When I run this code, Excel produces compile error. And the error description is, for each control variable, there must be a variant or project. So I said, can you rewrite this code? And as you notice here, I'm telling ChatGPT that there's an error with the code that you provided me, and here is the error description. And then ChatGPT says, certainly I apologize for the oversight. Here is the updated code with a revised variable declaration for the criteria variable to resolve the compile error. So, and then modify the code in this area. And it's also here describing what it did. As far as the modification goes for correction, it says the only change made is in this declaration of criteria variable, which is now declared as variant instead of string to resolve the compile error. Additionally, when adding the criteria as a key to the high scores collection, it is converted to a string using CSTR function to ensure compatibility with collection keys. Because the error description was saying it's got to be using variant, and it was originally using string data type, so basically it changed the data type from string to variant as the error description was indicating. And also it wasn't all what it did. It also changed the high scores variable to using the CSTR C string the function. The C, letter C here, is standing for collection. Collection is also one of the it belongs to the library in the Visual Basic. So with I ran that again, and this time I went back to this. I took this second one, you know, the modified code, and I put it here. And here's a note actually. Look at that, updated variable declaration. I mean, I didn't put this. This is put here by ChatGPT, describing, basically putting a note here, putting a comment here about this particular variant. I mean, this particular variable. The data. This is the data type. These are the data types. Like as worksheet is a data type. As long is a data type. Variant, double, collection, long. All these are different data types. So it changed that. And then the rest is same, pretty much same. The goal is eventually showing the results on the immediate window. This is what this section does, this part does. Print the highest score in the immediate window. And I ran that, and I had yet another error. And then I went back to ChatGPT, and I said this time, with your modified code, there's a typo, I didn't put letter D here. But it understands, it's smart enough to understand. With your modified code, now there is another error. And this time I'm describing this, the fact that it's a runtime error, and I'm providing the error number 457 and describing the error. This key is already associated with an element of this collection. This is the specific code highlighted in debug mode. High scores dot add item equal max score, key equal C string str criteria. Convert criteria to string before adding to call. Can you fix this error? So basically I provided a pretty detailed description of the nature of the error that VBA debugging function provided me when I was trying to run it, because it wasn't running, and I was explaining why it wasn't running, right? So after I said that, ChatGPT again said, certainly. And then it says, the runtime error 457 occurs when you try to add an item to a collection with a key that already exists in the collection. To fix this error, you can use a dictionary object instead of a collection. As a dictionary allows unique keys, here is the updated code using a dictionary. Now this part is, to me, really, really amazing. Because after I describe the error, ChatGPT, pays attention to that, and then understanding the nature of the error and what needs to be done to get around to resolve that error, to resolve that issue. So that's this part definitely here. This note is amazing, and based upon that, it's modifying code, and this is the third attempt and creating this code. So I did the same thing. I copied the code and I went back to, this time I go back to module, I not go back, I insert and create a new module called module number 3, and then put it here. And this one here is my note here. I just wanted to differentiate this code because I'm keeping all the others, all the other attempts, like attempt number 1 didn't work, attempt number 2 failed, and it did work on attempt number 3, right? So just to be able to keep track of it, I put myself a note here saying this code worked. The other 2, that means it implies that they didn't work, right? And then I ran the code, and what happened was, right now I'm not showing that. Actually, let me see just a second. Get rid of that. Get back to the editor again. Let's see if it's still there. Okay, see that, on the bottom it says immediate. And I'm on module number 3, right? Yes, I'm on module number 3. And what I want to do is, actually, I do want to run it right now. And looks like it's running without any errors. It's running, it keeps running. And keep in mind that, it is working against a large data set. It's over 1 million rows. And it's basically processing a lot of data in that data set. So the thinking is a little bit taking time on the VBA side. And eventually what's going to do is see that the immediate window that you're seeing right here, the bottom, this is Windows immediate VBA's immediate window, and it's going to be basically displaying the results in that area. Okay, it says not responding. That's not good. I'm trying to control break this and can't stop that it's taken. Well, that's not good. Shoot. I didn't think it was going to be causing this problem in the middle of my recording, that it's not responding. There you go. There you go. It did now. Okay, it took longer than I thought. It took longer than I thought. So I'm going to try to pull this up a little bit so you can hopefully see better. And also here. Okay, see that Windows immediate, this section here. Okay, this is the immediate window of VBA. And as you see, there are 2 columns, criteria column and highest score, and it shows the numbers here, all the way down. All the way down. So that's what the code is doing, because again, keep in mind that I told ChatGPT, ChatGPT, to show the results in this fashion. So, show the highest score. That's what I asked ChatGPT. Show the highest scores in those columns. And I didn't specify anything else. And ChatGPT interpreted that show the, whatever it's that, I'm wanting it to show. He showed the results. It showed the results in the immediate window of VBA. Then I thought, okay, it's working now. See, this is the number 3, module number 3, meaning the number 3, the third attempt. I tried to resolve the issue. As I told you before, the first initial two attempts were failures. There was errors. And then I thought, okay, now that the fact that the code is working, I wanted to improve a little more. And I went back to, again, the ChatGPT, and then came down here and asked another question. And this time the question was, could you please modify your code to display the results on a separate worksheet on Excel? Because I don't want to see the results like in the VBA editor environment, I want to be able to collect the results on a separate worksheet on Excel. So for instance, it can be, maybe say, hey, these are my results, I can send it to somebody. You cannot do that, with the results in the Windows, immediate window. So, it's not conducive to work with or look at. It's just a kind of to show while the code is running, one can see that it's running actually. And if you want to debug the code, go through the code, the steps, and step-by-step mode, you can see the results of your code while you're debugging. That's the purpose of Windows immediate window. It's not really to communicate the data sets. So after I asked this question, ChatGPT said, certainly, it says, and here's an updated version of the code that displays the results on a separate worksheet in Excel. And then it again modifies the code. So I did the same thing. I copied the code, I went back to this editor, and this time I created a new module number 4. And this is a little different in the sense that now it doesn't have, it was saying, remember, print column headers and Windows Immediate. It says, in this case, print column headers in a results worksheet. So what it's going to do is it's going to create a result. First off, it's got to create a tab. And it's doing this by kind of looking at this one here. The results tab is being created, and then it's put in these two columns, criteria and high score in the results tab. And then this is just the auto fit on columns A and B. It's identifying columns A and B for these two variables, criteria and high score, and it's doing the auto fit. So it did that, and then I want to get back to Excel now. And it created this result worksheet or tab that I was showing you at the beginning of this this recording. And I was looking at it, and okay, so by weight class it is showing numbers. But what it does is these numbers are actually sum numbers, the totals. So, well, first off, okay, awesome. ChatGPT did what I asked to do, and here is the resulting set. So mission accomplished as far as having that code worked out with some couple attempts to modify and improve it, to correct it. It's wonderful. That's good. Then I was of course looking at okay, what else I can do to make more sense to make more sense out of this out of these numbers. Again, going back to the original data set, there's a lot of stuff here, right? We have divisions. We have, let's go back here. We have, this is gender. This is event types, and there are lots of different, just look at these. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 different events. We have equipment types. And when I just look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different equipment types, age classes, divisions, and again, when you look at divisions, there's so many of them. Look at this, lots of different divisions. So there's a lot of, aspects. There's a lot of dimensions to the competitions that they were basically tabulating the data, the results, by event, equipment type, division, class, this, that, weight class, all those things. So I was thinking, okay, this is a good information here, but I want to improve to make more sense out of data. The command tab that you're seeing here is simply just a button. I call it best scores by the weight class, or best total scores by the weight class, which is basically connected to the code that I was showing you on module 4. That's what it is. If I just click on it, it's going to replace these numbers. I might add, depending on what I want to do, different buttons using different VBA code segments, or in short, macros. Another tab I created here is a pivot table. I'll just expand on it. Okay, so this part is, so far at least, I haven't used ChatGPT. This is something I've been following myself. If there's any kind of need I feel as far as manipulating pivot tables or any other types of representation of the data to kind of, slice and dice the data, I might still go back and use Excel, ChatGPT in Excel. But, so far all I was doing was this. Okay, here's the data. This is looking at the same data set. And then looking at the name on top, the competitor's name, competitor's body weight in this case, and everything is kilos here again, not pounds. Competitor's body weight is 74 kilos, and 74 again, this is the weight class. This is the actual weight, body weight. This is the weight class. This is the division, open division. This is single ply equipment type, and SBD is event type. So all these dimensions for this particular competitor, Abdul-Jabbar, and here is shows the sum total of, this is a total 435 kilos. This competitor's lift, and again it's comprised of the best numbers of 3 lifts. So that's squat, deadlift, and bench press. Again, remember there was 3 attempts for each lift, and it's taken the highest score in each of those 3. So they're basically, each athlete is total of 9 attempts in the competition, and best at those 9 is combined into 3, and then eventually the total number. And this total number is obviously determining the athlete's position in the competition, depending on, again, for instance, I chose here age class 24 to 34. Just look at the age classes. It's starting from 13 to 15. It's all the way down. This is 80 plus even. 80 plus even. I'm just curious, what would it show in that level, at that level? I'm just curious. I want to just look at this one here. So I'm just running that because I'm just curious, 80 plus year old guy competing in masters class probably, and what will be that person's numbers. This would be really interesting as I'm into these kinds of lifts, and this is my hobby. I've been doing this since I was little, so that's why I'm running this. And again, I'm sorry, this is I'm just running a pivot table, and keep in mind that again, pivot table is running against a very large data set, so everything is taking longer here, like saving the file, starting the file, opening it, modifying it, whatever, what have you, it's taking time. Anyway, there you go. Oh, well, it doesn't look like it's showing those guys, because I'm looking at the same guy, Abdul-Jabbar. What is it? Abdul-Jabbar. Age class is multiple items. I guess they kind of, combine. It's not really 80 plus. They kind of combine everything, so that's fine. It's multiple. There you go. Anyway, you got the idea. Basically, this pivot table is telling me total by athlete's name. And as you see here, this goes all the way down. There's a lot, even in pivot table. It's condensing the data, right? It's condensing the way that I want to see, so I can easily look at it and make sense. And I can always obviously change the pivot table components to see this by that by that kind of a situation here. A pivot table is an awesome function of Excel, and more powerful version of it is power pivots. Power pivot, you can see that here. So anyway, that's kind of beyond this, exceeding the purpose of this presentation, because I was meaning to show and share with you the ChatGPT, how it's used, how it can be used to to be able to help yourself. So again, the gist of it, the idea with this recording is, what I want to share with you all is this, going back to my editor. So I know exactly what I want to do, and let's say I'm having trouble putting this code together, or I put the code together but it just doesn't work, and I'm trying this and that. I can spend hours and hours and hours to get that done. And having the ChatGPT in my disposal, in my toolbox now, if I know what exactly it is that I'm trying to accomplish, then I can use ChatGPT in an extremely helpful way. So the key here is going back to data set, my starting point, the key, and going back to the data set, original data set, raw data. Okay, here's, when I was looking at this data set, I was saying to myself, okay, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish here? I got to have a solid, tangible, very clearly defined problem. And that's how I came up with that, because I wanted to see by weight class. That's, again, I'm repeating my question, the best, not best, by weight class, and however many different weight classes are there, show me the highest total score, total of those 3 lifts. That's what I was trying to accomplish. And then I communicated that question to ChatGPT. And then I was thinking, okay, there are problems, there are errors. Then keep, going back and forth, keep playing with that, going back and forth. And then I say, okay, here's the error with your code. Can you work on it? Here's the problem with your code. Can you work on it? This kind of back and forth. And also, maybe I was also going back and looking at my question. Can I ask this question better? Can I make this question more, clearer and more accurate for ChatGPT to help me better? So basically the gist of it is I think the essence of this discussion, or essence of this recording, is this: to be able to utilize ChatGPT, to be able to get help in the best possible way from ChatGPT, is you got to know what you're doing very clearly. You got to have extremely clear picture. You got to know exactly what you're trying to do. Actually, you got to have a good domain knowledge. With a good domain knowledge, with a good experience in what you're doing, you can utilize, you can get help, you can have assistance from ChatGPT in the fashion that I just described. And then you can apply this for any Excel project or database SQL project, or I don't know, if you're writing a Python code, if you're writing a C#, whatever you're doing, as long as you're doing what you're doing and you can describe it in a very, very, very clear terms to ChatGPT, then it's going to really provide you enormous amount of help, which could save you hours, depending on what you're doing, if not days. So this is what I wanted to share with you, to show you the impact of using ChatGPT and how valuable, how helpful it was to me, for me to come up with this code and get it work accurately. Because then after I get it, I run it, it might run it correctly, right? Like syntactically it's correct, logically it is correct, let's say, or more like say syntactically it's running, there's no errors. And I go back and what was it that here? Results tab, right? And I was looking at it, and hey, I was like trying to make sense, and the totals were awfully high. And one person, some of the stuff was like, hey, one person cannot lift that much. So that's why I started kind of digging into more using the pivot table, and it started making sense because I did not specify anything else. I said highest score in total, but sometimes it's combining total. So you got to be able to communicate the question in your mind, the problem. The problem definition must be extremely clear. That's what I'm trying to say. But again, as long as you can do that, ChatGPT is helping along the way and helping it greatly. That's amazing amount of help, and to me, value. Okay, so thank you very much. That's all I wanted to show, and thanks for listening to my video. I hope we can meet again on a different video. Take care.